Hello, everyone. How are you doing? And welcome to another episode of the Dr. Will Show, where we have the discussions on social innovation and becoming the CEO of you. Each week, I zoom in a practitioner, thought leader, or content creator, and we just sit back, have some conversation, chat about ideas and strategies on how you can live your best life. I am your host, Dr. Will, and today I am here with Aesha Ash. How are you doing, Aesha?
I'm very well. How are you, Dr. Will?
Well, thanks for asking. You know, your name sounds like a superhero.
Really?
Yes.
I like that.
Awesome. Today, people, we're talking about Black Girl Magic, which is very fitting during Black History Month, though I celebrate Black History 365 days. I'm glad to have you on because, you know, I was just on Twitter and all of a sudden I started seeing all of these photos. This Black lady in the hood.
Popping up in your Twitter feed. Wearing tutus. What's going on?
What? Okay. So I reached out to you. I was like, is she going to do the show? And you said yes. So I was excited about it. So for those who will be watching on YouTube or listening on SoundCloud and iTunes, will you please introduce yourself?
My name is Aesha Ash. I am a former professional ballerina and the creator of the Swan Dreams Project.
Excellent. I can hear you. I can hear you that well. All right, hold on for a second. All righty, so as Black folk, dance is no stranger to us, right? But normally ballet isn't something that people go, Black folk ballet. So out of all the dance forms that exist, what drew you to ballet and who were your role models as a young person?
Okay, so ballet kind of found me by accident. So I started dancing. Originally, it was tap and jazz, and I saw my sights for Broadway. That's what I wanted to do. And it was a teacher who came into my studio to guest teach. And she was the one that told my mother that I had some promise in ballet and that, you know, if I want to get better at the other forms of dance, that's the foundation. And so even still, it wasn't something that I, you know, was really seeking because I kind of had my sights to Broadway and that's just what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until I got a little bit older and, you know, jazz and tap and all that started to come very easy for me. And I wanted more of a challenge. I wasn't a natural at ballet at all. That there was just a lot technically that I had to work on and to catch up with, and felt I spent my entire career catching up with that. But it wasn't until I was around 13 that my mother started to notice that kids were going away for summer programs. And so what you do as a ballet dancer is that you go to a ballet school, and there gets to a point where you go away for the summers to a lot of these big schools where you can really get some, you know, strong training and experience other dancers from around the world. And it was when she asked about that she was told it would be challenging for me as a woman of color in ballet. Now, I was someone throughout my life, even before beginning dance, I come from the inner city. I went out to a suburban school. And so always kind of was up against a bit of adversity and having to deal with stereotypes and stuff because of that. So already started at a young age, it was always my mission in a way to change stereotypes and dispel these myths that exist for not only people, women of color in particular, but those from, you know, inner city communities like where I'm from. And so that was just having to face some part of that in my art. I just wanted to take that head on. So I took that as a challenge, like, oh, we can't do it. Oh, yes, we can. And I kind of spent my career as a ballet dancer without even knowing that this full, like, Swan Dreams project, whatever, this mission, that's what I was on. It wasn't fully formed, but I was naturally doing it. And I wanted to use ballet as my platform to kind of show the world that, you know, we are more than a stereotype, more than just we can do ballet. It was really just to show, to just dispel all these myths that exist, and to change this caricatured, stereotyped image that we are just inundated with. And as far as, role models, and, I the only thing that I could say was really my mother, and the fact that I think I just drew a lot of strength from her, that she was an extremely strong woman, that, sort of whatever she put her mind to, she was going to see it all the way to the end, that nothing was going to stop her, no circumstance, money, whatever. If she has to work 2 jobs, she'll work 2 jobs, that nothing ever stopped her. And I took that on, I took that, I looked at her strength, and that's what motivated me.
Mm. So you recently, as I alluded to earlier, hit the streets of Rochester, New York in the tutu and pointe shoes to do a photo shoot.
Yes.
The images are very powerful. And even when I looked at that, I was like, oh my gosh, this sister is doing it.
That's what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted.
What was the idea behind the photo shoot, and what is some of the feedback you've received?
Both wonderful questions. So the idea of the photo shoot came from, it wasn't until after I had given birth to my first child. I have 2 children. My oldest is 8, she's a girl, and my youngest is 5, is a boy. And I had, like I was explaining to you, I had, the whole reason why I was pursuing the career as a dancer, not as a ballerina. I love ballet. I love dance is my passion. That's what I'm born to do. But the reason why I was pushing so hard in ballet specifically was for that very reason, to sort of just change these stereotypes that exist. Now, I retired early from my career. And that's, for many reasons. And having retired, I just sort of always carried this weight of, I retired early and I didn't get to finish what I had started fighting for. And it was an incident when I was walking out of this theater one day. I was on the plaza, Lincoln Center Plaza in New York City, and another Black dancer was coming up to meet me. And she met me and said, are you Aesha Ash? And I said, yes, I am. And she just was, going on saying, listen, I just want you to know, like, how much it means to us that you're there on the stage, and, we're rooting for you. And I understood the plural, the us and the we, what she was talking about. She was talking about the entire Black dance community, that, we're behind you, we support you, we see you, we love seeing you there. And I just started crying then and there, like right on the plaza. And, she was like, why are you crying? I said, well, I'm leaving the company, and I feel like I'm letting all of you down. And I carried that with me till the end. I carried that after I left New York City Ballet. I still continued dancing, but I felt like I had lost what I was fighting for and what I was really pushing this career as a ballet dancer for. And so fast forward, I was, had given birth, had my daughter, and I was just sitting there going, I was sitting there watching television, and, an image came on the screen, the same kind of images that we're used to seeing, some stereotyped, caricatured image of the Black woman. And I just looked at my daughter and I just said, just shook my head and went, man, like, this is what I was fighting for. This image right here is what I spent all those years of blood, sweat, and tears, my family sacrificing, trying to pay for classes and shoes. And this is what I was fighting for. And now I'm just here sitting back and just have to take it. I have to take that this is my image, and this is what's being shown to the world. And I thought, there's got to be something else I can do. And I knew I wasn't going back to dancing. I was dedicated to being a wife and mother. I had retired. I had no interest in going dancing again 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. I had my little girl, she was almost 2, and I was done. And so I thought back to, it made me remember an image that was in the School of American Ballet. And it was a Black dancer in a classroom scene of all white students. And she stood out to me, and her name was Andrea Long. And while I was the student of the school, she was in the company, and she was the only one in the school and the only one in the company at the time. And so whenever I saw that image, it just gave me strength. It gave me strength to go on. It validated me. It made me feel that, okay, she's here, I can be here. It gave me courage to go, wow, you know, she did this all by herself. And now she's in the company all by herself. I can only imagine what she went through and is going through. If she can do it, I can just, you know, pick myself up and do it. Because I was away from home. My school was in New York City, but my family was in upstate New York. So I was away and the only Black girl. And so thinking back to that image, that made me think of imagery and how powerful that one singular image was for me. And I thought, maybe that's what I can do. I can go back home, just take a bunch of pictures and just plaster them everywhere. You know, and that was the artist and dreamer in me. I'm just going to save all of Rochester, New York with my images. But I just thought of that. I thought of, you know, remembering when I was a kid, you know, going to a little bodega on the corner. You know, a lot of the images we saw were like girls in a bikini on a bike, you know, selling a 40, you know, things like that. And so I thought, well, if I could just, you know, alongside that, you know, just have an image of a ballerina, you know, from their neighborhood. And not so much because I want you to become a ballerina, but just for what a ballerina stands for. All that when one thinks of ballerina, graceful, poised, elegant, sophistication, angelic, ethereal, I wanted us to represent that. And I wanted them to know that this is somebody from your neighborhood that went off and is representing that, you know, showing the world that we are also that. And I thought that these images were just going to be for Rochester. I thought of that, you know, just put them everywhere and realized how very expensive that was and realized I could not afford that. And I just put them on my Facebook page. And it was from that, and it wasn't any reaction of what I'm seeing now, this thing going viral and, you know, but it was enough to give me pause and make me sit back and go, there's something here. And it was, the reaction I got back was exactly what I wanted. And so it was when I spoke to the photographer, what was important for me was that he didn't just take images of a ballerina. I just didn't want a ballerina in this beautiful pose juxtaposed against a, you know, urban backdrop. I wanted it to really evoke thought, conversation, emotion, and make people sit and think. And so it was really important for me not to, I don't want to be shown just leaping through the air and lifting my leg. And I want you to capture what's happening around me, the people's expressions. I want them to see this sort of diamond in the rough, you know, this environment where people think nothing comes out of that is just ignored, that this flower is blossoming out of this. And there's many of that. And there's a hunger and this desire to want to see more of that. I wanted all of that to come just from one image. And that's what I got back. I got back exactly what I wanted. But what shocked me was that it didn't come from young kids. And that's what I was expecting. I was expecting young dancers to have this reaction. And instead I got grown women writing me like page-long emails of dreams that they let go of. If they had seen an image like that, they would have never given up their career, their desire to be a ballerina. How it, you know, it re-inspires them to want to go back and maybe take classes again, or it gives them confidence to, you know, encourage their daughter to pursue it, you know, where they were hesitant before. And you have to realize, you know, I started this in 2011. So this was before the big rise of all the discussion now of Blacks in ballet. So there wasn't much of it. So when that first came out, it was a shock to a lot of people, you know, that they had never seen this before. And now people are getting more used to this image. Although the specific thing that I'm trying to inspire people with my images for is not just, you know, getting more Blacks involved in ballet. And so even today, I'm still receiving those same comments, still getting those same emails. That I feel, you know, kind of the climate we're living in right now, I feel that people are hungry. You know, our community is hungry, and we are supporting those who, like me, are just, you know, taking our image in our own hands, saying, you know what, I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and let you tell me who I am. I'm going to tell you who I am. You know, and I just, you know, we are, especially women of color, you know, we constantly, and that's changing little, but still the ratio of negative versus positive, it just far outweighs. And I feel like, you know, our young girls are constantly getting pushed and inspired to go in one direction. And if that works for you, that's fine. If that makes you feel empowered and that works, keep doing your thing. That doesn't work for me and my family, and that didn't work. I want my little girl to feel empowered and to feel that, she can feel sophistication, elegance, and class and poise without feeling that she's lost her power or strength. And I think that's something that, as a ballerina, that embodies that as well. That with all that, gracefulness and elegance, we have to be very strong. As even physically, mentally, you have to be powerful. And so that's why I like the fact that I can use my art of ballet to sort of push that message, especially for our young girls in our community.
Well, I'm a 44-year-old man and I was moved.
Good.
Yeah, because I was just looking at like, wow. Because as you said, there's not that many images of us that go out that you can kind of clamor to and say, yes. It's kind of like, seeing those pictures was kind of like seeing Michelle Obama up there in the White House. And you're like, yes, yes. So it was, for me, especially in that art form of ballet, which people associate with a certain class, education, sophistication.
Yes.
To see someone who looks like us and in that neighborhood, that's like, okay, we got work to do. Let's make it happen. So I was like, okay, all right. Let's get her on the show.
And it's funny, Dr. Will, is that I got that reaction too. And it was one of the things that, I was wishing that I had a videographer, because it was what people were saying that I felt was so powerful. I didn't want anyone videoing me, because it was like, I'm retired. You don't need to see me. Look at these people. Listen to what they're saying. When I went out in 2011, it was mostly reaction from older people. And I would say, from like 30s on, and the younger kids were just kind of back with their cameras. But the older people were the ones that were just felt the desire to come to me and talk to me and just say, yes, sister, thank you. Thank you for doing this. We need this. One gentleman, he was sitting next to where I was photographing, and while the photographer was fixing his camera, we were chatting. And he was like, where are you from? I was like, I'm from Rochester. He's like, yeah, but where? Thinking I was going to say like the suburbs, and I'm just coming back to the city, to take some pictures. I was like, no, I'm from here. And he was like, here? I was like, yeah, like 5 minutes around the corner here. And that just blew his mind. And then he was just, we started talking about and how appreciative he was. And he just was in shock that I would take the time to come back into my community and do this, and how appreciative he was for that. And so it was so important for me to be in my community. And it's literally my community. This is where I grew up. And to show people that not only do I want the world to see that, I want my community to see that I haven't forgotten where I came from. It's important for me to come back and see you guys, and not just because I could have just rented a space and taught a free ballet class and had that be that. But that only is going to, gather people who have either seen the flyer or interested in ballet, want to bring their kids. I wanted to reach those people who never even thought that they would be interested in ballet or seeing a ballerina. And I wanted to just implant that seed in their mind, like those little girls that I had just kind of pulled to the side, and we just grabbed onto the fence and started doing a little class. Because when I was done with that, and that wasn't even anything planned, I just saw them and I was just like, come on over here. And when I was done doing that, I just got on my knees and I just kind of looked at the girls and I was like, so tell me now, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then one little girl just looked at me with like sparkles in her eyes, and she was like, no, I want to be a princess. And you're just like, that is why I'm doing this. Now, whether she wants to go and be a ballerina, she didn't say ballerina, she said a princess. And that was it. Like, that was exactly it. You don't have to be a ballerina. This is my art. This is what I'm showcasing. You can be, if you want to be a princess, go out there and be a princess. And for whatever that stands, whatever princess represents for you, go out and do that. Whether you're a princess in your job as a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever, be that princess. And so that was so important for me. And I feel like that's why I wanted to go back in my neighborhood. And I feel like that reception that I got back was exactly what I wanted from the photographs.
Mm. All right, I call a little chill right there. I'm gonna get myself together. So you have created the Swan Dreams Project.
Yes.
What do you hope to accomplish with the organization?
So when I started this, again, I started it in 2011 by myself. And the only thought that I had was that I was going to help Rochester, New York in my community. I wanted my community to look at me saying, look, this girl came from here. Look at these images we can look at and have all that inspiration. It wasn't until I put them online and got the reception I got that people then started reaching out asking, can I buy the images? And, do you sell them? And I had no idea, I had no interest in this being a money-making thing. And so I was like, I don't want money. I just want the images to go around. And so I thought, well, if people want to buy them, maybe with that money, I can help organizations already in the community that are like an established, not just me, myself, and I, trying to change the world. Like there are people already with, staff and, they have, this big, organization in place where they have branches that they can reach out and do more. So I'll sell the images and give this money to those organizations, whether it didn't have to be ballet. Again, it's just outreach, community centers, after school programs that are giving our kids something to do, giving them an outlet, something positive. And so that's what I wanted to do. And in the end, I sold like a couple dozen. It was nothing to make a dent. And so what I did, even with that I completely gave it all away. And then it started to turn into whatever people started asking me for. It was just really a serving the community thing. So as people would reach out and say, listen, can you come talk at our school? Can you do an exhibit at my gallery, at my museum? Can you talk to Girls Inc. in Alameda and maybe teach a free class? Can you donate images for our ballet school's fundraiser? Can you donate images for our school? A mother would reach out, sharing a very sad story about, her ballet dancer at home that's struggling. I would send them images. So that's what it is. I mean, that's kind of what it was in 2011 and what it continues to be now. With this new interest in the project because of this article that came out last year that suddenly found its way online again and went crazy, those things are still coming in, but they're now coming in much more. So I'm, already set up to teach and talk in a couple of organizations. There's one really interesting that's a juvenile detention center that works with libraries. I'm really excited about that. That they want me to, some of the kids that are in the detention center, they want me to talk and teach them a class, which I'm really curious about that one and the impact I'm going to have on them. But not only that, which makes me even more excited is that I will be also talking and teaching a class to the young families, the young kids who are waiting maybe for relatives to go and talk to their relative in jail, and being able to just kind of pull those kids aside and help them just to get lost for a moment in time in art and feeling like a princess and, a fairy. And since this organization is also connected with the library services, I thought, I'd offer also to maybe read a little ballet book, to them and just to help them just get lost for a moment. There's another school that I'll be Skyping in and talking to their fourth graders, which I think was just an excellent idea because I can't be everywhere at once. So that's, I think, is a really good idea that their teacher just realized the importance of representation. And so she wanted me to just be able to be there and for her kids to see me and just tell my story. There's another school that I'll be doing an assembly, and this school actually asked for images. And I'm really shocked that I was thinking they would just kind of want one or two images. They want 20. So I was like, you want 20? I'll give you 20. So they want 20 posters to go around in every classroom. And then besides that, I'm still looking to teach at my daughter's school. I gave a free classes last year that went really well. I had teachers coming up to me saying that there were parents who came up to them thanking them that the school allowed me to teach the classes for free because A, they wouldn't be able to afford ballet classes, and B, they didn't even have transportation to get there. So the area that we live in is not an impoverished area, but there are struggling families who do attend the school. And so you're just doing that, you just never know who you can reach. Mm-hmm. There's other organizations like a women and children's center, a homeless shelter that I want to reach out to. And just, again, it's the idea of just the art is an escape, and you just never know what seed you can, kind of implant in someone, and just to give them that opportunity to have an escape for a while. So that kind of is, I feel like the project has turned into just purely imagery, to just kind of serving the community and people seeing the images and requesting of me. And as they request, I give what I can, whether it's my time, classes, Skyping, posters, and I just kind of let the community tell me what it is that they want from me in my project.
So obviously there's a lot of work that takes at becoming a success in anything. What kept you going, and what motivated you to keep putting in the work?
It was tough. I can't sit here and say, I was just somebody with like an S on my chest. I was Superwoman, and it was tough. I mean, there were those moments that I was like, I cannot go one more day. This is too lonely. This is too hard. And I think every time I went back home, I would take that trip back upstate New York. I would see my family. I would see my community. I would see how hard my family had sacrificed to get me to where I was. And it was a total family thing. I mean, my brothers had to sacrifice maybe things that they wanted because I was pursuing this ballet career and I was off in New York. So I looked at all that and I was just like, I can't stop now. I've worked too hard. We've come too far. And again, seeing my mother, how strong she was and how much she's gone through in her life and how much she fought for. And to go, you know what, this is nothing. I've got this. And what I'm fighting for is bigger than ballet. And so I'm doing this for the generations coming after me. I'm doing this for my little girl, my future little girl. I'm doing this for all the little girls I see running around my neighborhood. So I've got to do this. I don't have a choice. And that's kind of how I always felt. It was, I need to do this. It is my duty to do this. So I had family that was extremely supportive behind me. I had my faith. At that time I was going to the Brooklyn Tabernacle. So I would just go on Sundays and hear that choir, and I was good to go for another week. But it really was that. And I guess, again, taking those trips whenever I was able to go back home for a little short stint, a little vacation, seeing my community, seeing that environment, seeing my family struggle and how hard they work to get me to where I am. It was my calling to do this. It was my duty. And I think that's why there was just that after I had retired, it continued, that weight was still there, that what I was called to do is not done. Like, I have to get up off that sofa and I've got to do something. Whatever it is, I've got to do something.
So now I want to throw this out there to you. What does it feel to be you when you know you've had this impact on our community and people are walking up to you and they're saying, wow, my perspective on life has changed. You mean so much to us. How does that feel? And what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, that's a very good question. How does it feel? The first initial thing is gratitude and satisfaction, because I feel like, especially now, seeing how viral this thing has become, because of this thing becoming viral, the reaction I'm finally getting back from my community is just so satisfying, because it felt so lonely for a long time that, am I the only one who cares about, am I the only one who looks back and sees these images and who cares, and am I the only one who's tired of seeing this? So there was that sort of just satisfaction, like, this means so much. And I try to write thank yous as much as possible, like online and social media, and it's hard to do everybody. But when I write those, which seems very generic, thank you, this means so much to me, I don't think people really realize, like, it really means a lot to me to know that I have my community behind me, supporting me, and feel the same way that I do, and is grateful that I'm making this step. But I think with that also comes this responsibility that I want to make sure what I'm doing is correct. With the donations that we finally have seen coming in, because this thing is not an official nonprofit. I don't have grants or anything coming in. It's just been out of my pocket since 2011. So to even see the donation button hit with $5 is huge for us. So thinking about that donation money and really thinking about the responsibility of that, and me wanting to make sure that I'm using it in the best way possible, and making sure that my community and those who have given me that will see it used in the best way possible, and I can maximize it, even though it's limited, but I can maximize it as much as possible to be as effective as I can be. So there's that responsibility. And then there's the fear. I think because I'm someone who's a little bit shy and timid when it comes to all this social media and putting myself out there. And that's why I guess I've been a little bit quiet when it comes to social media and things, because I just wanted to just dig my heels in, just do the work, get the work done. But in this day and age, you have to get out there for people like you to find me and to get the word out there and let people know this is what I'm doing. So I'm starting to slowly creep up and do that more. But there's that fear of what the backlash of that is going to be, because, you know, we are not monolithic. We don't all think the same. Even when I was out there on the street, the majority of the people were applauding me. But there were some people who just could have cared less. And I, you know, had some expletives, you know, like some people going, watch out, you know, she's trying to get a shot. And people, I don't really give a so-and-so and so about that ballerina. So we don't all think the same and want the same thing. So there's, I mean, I've even seen some negative comments online. Is, you know, why is she here, you know, dangling these, you know, treats in front of these kids, knowing they darn well will never, you know, have the ballet is expensive. And one, this person is completely missing the point of the project and the point that why I'm there. And the majority of the people have got it. So there's that fear of putting myself out there and just, you know, what's going to happen back and what's going to be expected of me. Is this going to grow too big where, you know, then my family has to make sacrifices for this? But then again, realizing that this has been something that I've been fighting for since I was a child, you know, and they understand that this is something that is important for me, for my children. And then that'll segue into your legacy question, that it's important for me, not only for my daughter who I'm raising now, but for all the little young girls coming up, and for my community to sit back and be proud to feel that, you know, I'm someone who wanted to remind people that, you know, beauty and grace shouldn't be defined by your race or your socioeconomic background. That, you know, poise, elegance, sophistication, class, that has no race. That it shouldn't depend on where, you know, how much your family makes, what environment that you came from. That exists everywhere. You know, just as much as, you know, because you have money and because you come from a very well-off family or your community is very well-off, does not guarantee that you have class or grace or beauty. And when I say beauty, I'm not talking this, I'm talking who you are inside. You know, that was something my mother taught me from a very young age, that beauty, what makes a person beautiful is who they are inside, how they treat other people. That's what makes them beautiful. And that's the beauty I'm talking about, you know, how you treat other people, what is your heart, and that has no race, that has no socioeconomic background. And so that is something, again, that I want to pass off. Beauty and grace has no race or socioeconomic background, and that I was somebody who fought for that I was someone who wanted to display that to the world and to change that stereotype and those myths that exist for women of color, from people from, you know, lower income inner city urban environments.
Whew.
Did I leave you speechless, Dr. Will?
You did. Let me take a little sip right here. Okay. You know, you have traveled around the world, and, you know, many Black people in the U.S. Just don't do that or have not had the opportunity to do so.
Right.
Before we go, please speak to what you would say to Black kids about their dreams and what they can be doing to dream the impossible dream and make those become their reality.
I think it's important to remember that dreams motivate and inspire us. And when you're in environments like where I grew up, a lot of times around you, it seems hopeless and that there's a lot of despair. So if you're not dreaming, you don't have that motivation, that impetus to do something, to aspire to be better. So you have to dream. You have to. It's for survival. You have to have that hope that there is better and that I can achieve better. Nobody would have thought this little girl from inner city of Rochester, New York was going to travel the world and, teach herself how to speak French and learn Italian and, travel the globe. I mean, sit, and be, standing at the Women National History Museum receiving the Women Making History Award. I mean, nobody would have thought it. Maybe my family, but it's just not something that it's just going to pop in your mind. And so it took me as a young child dreaming big. It took me with those dreams that gave me that motivation and that inspiration to go, this can happen. I can do this. I will do this. And when you stop dreaming, all that motivation and inspiration dies. And there's that you start sinking into that hopelessness and despair. And again, that's what those images, that's one of the things that I want those images to represent for people, that while you may look around and it seems that there's hopelessness and despair, there's a flower sprouting up. There is still hope here. Don't give up hope. Don't give up your dreams, because it is possible. It's not going to be easy. There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but I did it. And you can do it, and you can do it even better than me. And so that's, I don't want young kids to stop dreaming. I really don't. And so to even have read that message, just why are you dangling these, treats in front of these kids? It's just, that's somebody who doesn't have hope. That's somebody who is looking at that, that is someone who is just giving up hope. And so I'm grateful that, my family didn't give up hope on me, and then I didn't give up hope on myself.
People. And that's why today's episode is called Black Girl Magic. This is, wow. This has been awesome. I'm not saving.
Dr. Will.
Thank you. I'm not saving this episode. This episode coming out tonight. People gotta see and hear this because it's so powerful, especially now, because I work in a public school and I see kids every day. And we, as Black people, have forgotten who we are.
Yes. And
we have started to live and define ourselves by the lowest of expectations that others have placed on us.
Yes.
And it is time for us to reach back and understand who we are, recognize the genius that is within ourselves, and claim our rightful mantle of excellence.
Yes. Yes. And I can't tell you, even there's a couple of Instagram people that I follow, and, you see these images that, they're African based, they're based in Africa. And you see these images they put, and they're usually like fashion or something, but it's these elegant, beautiful, queens, with these gorgeous gowns and, headdresses and necklaces and just these elegant, sophisticated, sexy, beautiful women without just giving it all to you. It's just this sophistication and class, and I love it. Every time they put out an image, I'm like, yes, it's like, this is what I want my daughter to see. This is what I want our young girls to see. This is a beautiful, sophisticated, classy woman. This is elegance. This is grace. And I feel that we don't see enough of those images. We just do not. Or that it's just, that's not what's on trend, and then that's not what is seen as powerful, as sexy. I have to say that even growing up, I was teased and made fun of, because I didn't want to go to the club and drop it like it was hot. And I didn't care. I could care less. It's like, I have my own road. I have my own path I'm walking. You do yours. If that works for you, fantastic. This is my road. This is what I'm choosing. You know, and if those who wish to follow this way, come along, come and join me. You know, and that's how I'm presenting this project. You know, it's just, we have this option that we have, you know, investigated and pursued thoroughly. You know, we have lots of options to go this way, and that gets promoted. How about we offer this one too? You know, again, we're not monolithic. We're not all going to be thinking the same, but at least give us an option. At least have some people going in this direction for our youth to go, well, let me see which one I want to go to, not just constantly this way. And I think it just is going to take more people like me who have more power, who have more of a reach, to make that happen, and to get people to get our youth to kind of start turning the other way and going, I have an option. At least give them options. Give them options, because I feel right now there's not a lot of options. And like I said, when I was sitting there with my daughter looking at one more commercial, one more little ad for, I don't know what, some little video clip or whatever, I was like, that's it. That's it. You know, I'm taking it in my own hands again. I'm not just going to sit here, whether I touch 2 people or 200 or 2 million, I'm doing something.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again, Aesha, for being a guest on the show.
Yes.
All right. So people, you know how I do this. The video cast is going up on YouTube. I need you to subscribe, leave your comments. The podcast is going up on iTunes and SoundCloud. Subscribe, leave your feedback. Brother trying to get Oprah on the show. So I need you to bring me up a little bit. So again, thank you, Aesha.
Thank you, Dr. Will. It was a pleasure.
Hey, I had a great time myself. So as always, people, invest in you, EDU. Peace.